It's important to apply GMPs from the receipt of ingredients all the way through the delivery of your product. So when you're receiving ingredients or purchasing ingredients, you want to inspect them and make sure that they are not indicating that they've been tampered with or that something's happened that now they can be a source of contamination. Handle raw fruits and vegetables to make sure that they are not going to become contaminated or by how they're grown. So, one thing that we recommend is following good agricultural practices. And just like good manufacturing practices, good agricultural practices are things you can do on farm to reduce your microbial food safety risks. And so, if you're sourcing fruits and vegetables or growing fruits and vegetables, is something that you can look into in terms of a requirement that you might have. So you want to make sure you're washing, storing, and handling any raw material in ways that it's not going to contaminate any food. Applying GMPs throughout your process through the equipment and utensils that you use, any food processing, monitoring parameters, and holding of food, such as temperature. I'm sorry. Record keeping is another consideration. I know Rhode Island and Connecticut are the two states I'm familiar with, so I've talked about them a little bit more, but there are some record requirements. You might have requirements, but if not, I'm just going to recommend it. But there are certain records that I recommend you keep. In Connecticut, they need to have a license, a certificate showing their business license, and they need to maintain that in their kitchen. And they need to have the recipe with the ingredients, quantities, processing times, and procedures that should be maintained in their kitchen. I'm sorry, that's Rhode Island. In Connecticut, they are allowing acidified foods, so they want records of the pH testing for those acidified foods. And they also want to see that you have an approved recipe. So if you're making an acidified food product, usually it's recommended that you follow an approved recipe or have a scheduled process, which is basically the process authority is approving your recipe and making sure that it's safe. An approved recipe is basically a safe recipe. It's been tested for food safety parameters, and the processing parameters are going to get you a safe product. So you might have record keeping requirements in your state, but you might not. So just be aware of any requirements. And another recommendation is batch coding. If you get in the habit of processing your product and you can batch code and keep records, it just positions you for if something goes wrong, you can identify which batch. You don't have to get rid of everything. If you can identify, oh, it's this day where I'm seeing a problem, you can go back and pull those products. So batch coding is just a way to minimize, it's a way to minimize loss. It's a way to identify product if something goes wrong.